Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the Exaction Squad and their updated rules for the new edition of Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful? All of that kind of jazz. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Lemon Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So yeah, I'll be going over the Exaction Squad. I'll be doing 2 Kill Team reviews every day until I finish them all, reviewing all the up-to-date rules. And now I can finally use the free rules which you can find on Warhammer Community, and I can show you them instead of having to make my own ones. So let's get on with the review. So for the roster, Exaction Squad are still security and seek and destroy, so that's unchanged. They also remain as an 11-opted kill team. Your leader can either have the combat shotgun and repression baton, or a shot pistol, dominator maul, and assault shield. So that's unchanged, although he now has a built-in shot pistol. Then you can either take a castigator, a chirurgant, leash master, cyber mastiff, Malocator, Marksman, Revelatum, Subductor, Vigilant, Vox Seeker, Gunner with either Grenade Launcher, Heavy Stubber, or Weber. And then other than your Gunner and Subductor and Vigilant operatives, you can only have each one once, but you can have up to 2 Gunners and up to 4 Subductors. So once again, unchanged when it comes to kill team composition. For the faction rules, you have marked for justice. So as a strategic gambit, select one enemy operative to be your mark for the turning point. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against your mark, that friendly operative's weapons have the punishing weapon rule. Whenever your mark is incapacitated, you can select a new enemy operative to be your mark for the turning point and continue to do so through this turning point. So this is okay, you know, you don't actually have many sources for lethal 5-up or guaranteed crits, but it is fine, I guess. You have repress, so some weapons in this team's rules have the repress weapon rule. So repress, whenever an operative is using this weapon, each of your blocks can be allocated to block 2 unresolved successes instead of 1, and if this operative is retaliating, you resolve the first attack dice, i.e. the defender instead of the attacker. So unchanged there, just tidied up ruling. Then you've got Ruthless Efficiency. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting, excluding with frag or crack grenades, and you're selecting a valid target, you can use this rule. If you do, having other friendly Exaction Squad operatives within an enemy operative's control range doesn't prevent that enemy operative from being selected. So that has been changed because in the 2nd edition of Kill Team, they had an ability, if you were also shooting with a friendly operative within 2 inches of that target, you would get Piercing 1. So Piercing crits 1 on that gun. Well, weapon. Now you don't, so you've lost that. So the game, well, the kill team has now lost one of its biggest sources of armor penetration, which really is not good. So the team's a lot weaker now from shooting, so we'll see if that gets made up with the future rules. For strategy ploys, you have Guilt reveals itself, so whenever you're selecting a valid target for a friendly operative, enemy operatives within 4 inches of it cannot be in cover instead of 2 inches. While this can allow such operatives to be targeted assuming they're visible, it doesn't remove their cover save unless a friendly Exaction Squad is within 2 inches of as normal. So this is actually being nerfed because while the range remains the same, in the prior edition, if you're within 4 inches, the opponent didn't count as being in cover. Now you can just shoot them, but they're still in cover unless you get within 2 inches. So, you know, the good thing is it's still useful, it's just a little bit worse. And then you've got Inviolate Jurisdiction. So whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Exaction Squad operative that's within 2 inches of an objective marker or an enemy operative, you can reroll one of your defense dice. So this has been buffed a bit because now it works if you're close to the enemy operative, but you're probably not taking this. It's fine, it's just not great. Then you've got Dispense Justice. Whenever a friendly Exaction Squad operative is fighting or retaliating, if it hasn't moved more than its move stat during that activation or its counteraction, its melee weapons have the ceaseless weapon rule. So that's unchanged. It mirrors what happened to it at the end of the last edition, so still very good. Then you've got Terminal Decree. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting an enemy operative within 6 inches of it, or whenever a friendly Exaction Squad gunner is shooting, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the balanced weapon rule. So this has also been buffed in range. It used to be 4 inches, now 6 inches, and the gunners still work at unlimited range. So Terminal Degree is still really good. It's just a shame Guilt Reveal itself is slightly worse, but otherwise you've still got very solid strategy ploys. Then for Firefight ploys, you have Long Arm of the Emperor's Law. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly operative is performing the shoot action and you select a weapon with the range X weapon rule, excluding frag or crack grenades. Until the end of the action, add 3 inches to X. So your shotguns for 1 CP become 9-inch range, which is situationally good, I guess. You know, a lot of people were really happy to see this. I don't. It's fine. I probably will never use this. Then you've got Exact Punishment. Use this firefight ploy after an enemy operative shoots against or fights against a friendly operative within 6 inches of it, and that friendly operative isn't incapacitated as a result. That friendly operative can immediately perform either a free shoot or a free fight action, but other enemy operatives cannot be selected as a valid target or to fight against during that action. Note that secondary targets from blast weapon rules can still be targeted. So effectively, if someone shoots or fights you and you survive, you can either shoot them back or fight them back. Unchanged, it's still situational, it's kind of fine, but it's more better if like your opponent fluffs an attack, like they completely fail with their shooting or fight, and then you just punish them back. Then you've got Brutal Backup. Use this firefight ploy during a friendly operative's activation before or after it performs an action. Select 1 enemy operative within its control range. 1 other friendly Exaction Squad operative can immediately perform a free fight action, but can only fight against that enemy operative. So if you have 2 friendly operatives in control range of 1 enemy operative, when you activate, you can have that friendly operative fight. It's fine. It's very situational. I don't think I've ever used it, usually because a lot of my operatives die in close combat. And, you know, your subductors don't really want to initiate fights. They want to be, you know, taking the fight, so they just punish the opponent for wasting their activation. Situational, but okay. Then you've got Execution Order. Use this firefight ploy when an enemy operative performs a mission action, excluding operating hatches. Alternatively, use it at the end of the firefight phase and select 1 enemy operative that controls an objective marker. In either case, the next time your opponent activates that enemy operative, you can interrupt that activation and activate a ready friendly Exaction Squad operative. If you do, during that activation, that friendly operative must shoot or fight against that enemy operative and cannot do so against other enemy operatives until it does. If this isn't possible, the friendly operative's activation is cancelled. After completing that friendly operative's activation, continue the enemy operative's activation if possible. You cannot use this firefight ploy again until the enemy operative is activated or incapacitated. So effectively, you pick someone, and then effectively, if you've got someone ready, you can then interrupt, or you can interrupt in the next turning point. It's fine. It's a lot more situational. It doesn't give the relentless it used to. It's more complicated, and I'm sure you can get some usage out of it, but it's so much setup. I'm not sure it's worth it in this like CP starved environment we're in. It's just okay. I'm sure you can build around it, but it's just going to take a lot of work. For operatives, you've got your Proctor Exactant, who has 2 APL, 6-inch move, and a 4-up save, has 9 wounds. Everyone else has 8 wounds, has 9 wounds because it's your leader, and everyone's on a 28mm base. If you take the Combat Shotgun and Repression Baton, the shotgun is 4 attacks in on 2's 4-4, 6-inch range at close range, and long range is 4 attacks in on 4's 2-2. And then the Repression Baton is 3 attacks hitting on 3's 2-3. So finally, batons do the same damage as fists. It's taken 3 years nearly, but finally batons match fists. And then you can also take the shot pistol and dominate them all. So the shot pistol is 4 attacks in on 3's 3-3 range 8, and the dominator maul and assault shield is 4 attacks in on 3's 4-4 lethal 5-up shock and repress. The assault shield, if this operator has a dominator shield and maul, it has a 3-up save stat, so it goes up from a 4-up. And then you have deploy Nuncio Aquila for 0 action points. If your Nuncio Aquila marker isn't in the kill zone, place it within 6 inches of horizontally of this operative. Otherwise, move your Nuncio Aquila marker up to 6 inch horizontally. If this operative is removed from the kill zone, remove your Nuncio Aquila marker from the kill zone. And you cannot perform this while in control range. So it's actually been changed quite a bit. We were always up in the air, but now it is confirmed if your leader dies, your Aquila dies, which is a bit disappointing. And then for your Nuncio Aquila, whenever an enemy operative is within 3 inches of your Nuncio Aquila marker or this operative, if your marker is in the kill zone, your opponent must spend 1 additional action point for that enemy operative to perform the pickup marker and mission actions. And when determining control of a marker, treat the total APL stat of friendly operatives that contest it as 1 lower if at least one of those enemy operatives is within 3 inches of your Nuncio Aquila marker or this operative if your marker is in the kill zone. Note this isn't a change to the APL stat, so any changes are cumulative with this. So your leader is effectively unchanged. Still very, very good. The Nuncio Aquila is technically more ranged because you measure from the edge of the token instead of the center, and now it contests other markers instead of just objectives. So your leader's gotten a nice buff, just passively, minutely buffed, but still good. Then you've got your Castigator, who is 2 APL, 6-inch move, 4 up save and 8 wounds. So this is the standard profile for your kill team. Has the combat shotgun, which everyone mostly has. So it's close range and long range. Close range is 4 attacks, 8 on 3s, 4 range 6. And then 4 attacks, 8 on 5s, 2 for long range. The Excruciator Maul is 4 attacks, 8 on 3s, 5 rending shock. So this has gone up in damage. It used to be 4. It's got Engendered Focus. You can ignore any changes to the operative stats, excluding its save stat. And then you've got Zealous Dedication. Whenever an attack dice inflicts 3 or more damage on this operative, roll a d6 on a 5-up, -1 damage. That's fine. And then you've got Castigator's Arrest. Whenever an operative is within control range of this operative, if no other enemy operatives are within this operative's control range, that enemy operative cannot perform the fallback action. So your manacles have been buffed. It's harder for people to fall back from you. It's no longer this complicated mind game. It's just they can't fall back. You do more damage. Your damage negation's a bit worse. And the other interesting thing is probably your best flex operative, because it's the only one that can shoot and fight in close combat really well. You're always taking the Castigator. Then you've got the Chirurgant, who has a shotgun and then repression baton. It has the medic ability, so if someone dies within 3 inches, they don't die, but they have to, well, they can perform a free dash, but they have to end within the operative's control range. So if they do dash, they can't just dash an inch, they have to dash so they're in control range, and then you're -1 from both APLs. And then for medkit, you select one friendly operative within this operative's control range to regain 2d3 lost wounds. It cannot be an operative that the medic rule was used on just turning point. So now you can heal someone in the turn, you revive them with medic, but you can't do it on the same operative. So still really useful. Then you have the gunner. They can take the grenade launcher, which is 4 attacks, 8 on 4s, 4-6 piercing 1. The heavy stubber focus, which is 5 attacks, 8 on 4s, 4-5 heavy dash only. So that used to be 3-4. So that's actually pretty good now. The heavy stubber sweeping, which is 4 attacks, 8 on 4s, 4-5 heavy dash only torrent 1. The Weber, which is 4 attacks from 5, hitting on 3s, 4-5. It used to be 2-2. Range 12, severe stun. So if you don't roll any crits, you get to retain a normal as a crit. So you're always stunning people, then repression battons. So the Weber, I don't know what they did to this Weber, but it's now amazing. And you always take the Weber. It's a better shotgun. It's fine. Like, we used to take the Weber before to stun people. Now you do it to kill them. And then if you haven't killed them, it will stun them. So the heavy stubbers had a huge glow up. The Weber, sorry. The heavy stubber's pretty good as well. The grenade launcher's unchanged, but my gosh, I am very tempted by the Weber. Then you've got the Leash Master, who has a combat shotgun, shot pistol, and repression baton, and it's got the handler ability. So whenever this operative is activated, you can activate a readily friendly Cybermastiff operative at the same time, complete their activations action by action in any order, and then attack pattern as a strategic gambit in the first turning point. Select one of the following attack patterns for a friendly Exaction Squad operative Cybermastiff to have for the battle. So aggressive, its melee weapons have relentless. Swift, +2 to its movement stat. And defensive, improve its save stat by 1. And then RVR command for 0 action points. You can change its attack pattern. So this is all unchanged. Very, very good. Then you've got the Cybermastiff, who has the same profile as your normal operatives. And it's 4 attacks, 8 on 4s, 3-5, lethal 5-up. Cannot perform any actions other than apprehend, charge, dash, fallback, fight, guard, reposition, pickup, marker, and place marker. And it cannot use any weapons that aren't its data card. So now it can pick up markers. It can finally fetch. It took this dog a while, but now it learned how to fetch. Then you've got apprehend, which used to be 1 action point, and now it's 0 action points. Select one enemy operative within this operative's control range until the operative is no longer within this operative's control range, or until this operative performs this action again, whichever comes first. Worsen the hit stat of that enemy operative's weapons by 1. Isn't cumulative with being injured. In addition, the enemy operative can't perform the fallback action. And you cannot perform this action unless the enemy operative is when it's at control range. So apprehend has actually been buffed. It's now free to do. You now trap someone in combat. You don't do any mortal wounds to them, but now they're -1 to hit you. And once again, you can give the dog Relentless, which is still a rare ability to have. So the Cybermastiff is slightly better, and it was already really good. So very nice there, because what you can do when you activate it with the handler, you could like set the Cybermastiff to 8-inch move, so it does a 10-inch charge. Then your shotgun guy moves up, shotgun someone, then for free changes him to the Relentless profile, and your dog fights. So you can get a nice combination there. So really, really good. Then you get the Malacator. He has a combat shotgun and repression pattern. He has acute focus, so once during each of this operative's activations, it can perform the pickup marker, place marker, or Veriscan, or mission action for 1 AP less, which is the same as before. And then Veriscant for 1 action point. Select one enemy operative visible to this operative until the start of this operative's next activation, or until it's incapacitated, or until it performs this action again. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against that enemy operative, that friendly operative's weapons have the severe weapon rule. If the weapon already had severe, it has the lethal 5-up weapon rule, and you cannot perform this action while within control range of an enemy operative. So Veriscant has been buffed. It used to be like pick someone within line of sight. Now you just pick someone visible and has unlimited range. So your Mallocator gets a lot more use out of its special ability, which synergizes with some of the kill team. Then you've got the Marksman. He's got an Executioner shotgun, which is a silent sniper shotgun. So it's concealed is 4 attacks hitting on 2s, 4-0, devastating 4, heavy, silent, concealed position. So it's once per game silent. It used to be 1 damage free devastating, so now it technically just does 4 damage automatically as a crit. Then the mobile profile is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 4-4, and then stationary is 4 attacks hitting on 2s, 4-0, devastating 4 heavy, so that's just without the silent. And then it's got optics for 1 action point until the start of this operative's next activation. The concealed and stationary profile of the Executioner shotgun have the lethal 5-up weapon rule, and whether this operative is shooting with this Executioner shotgun, enemy operatives cannot be obscured. You cannot do well in control range of enemy operatives, so it's actually been buffed slightly, so your Marksman is a little bit more useful, especially if you combo with Punishing and like the Mallocator. He will just effectively delete stuff now by forcing through crits, because if he rolled 4 crits, he does 16 damage automatically to the target. So your Marksman is still very, very useful, although he now can no longer heavy dash, so when he's trying to shoot, which makes him really static. So you've got that big trade-off with him there. Then you've got your Revelatum. So it has a scoped shot pistol. Short range is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-3, range 8, lethal 5-up. And then scoped shot pistol, long range, 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-3. And then a repression baton. So this has actually been nerfed. It used to do 1 damage as a crit with 2 damage as devastating. Now just does flat 3-3. So it's technically worse. Then you've got first into the field as a strategic gambit in the first turning point. If this operative is wholly within your drop zone, it can immediately perform a free reposition action. This has also been nerfed. You used to be able to do it as if you had fly. Now you just move up the board, so it's a little bit more limiting. Then you've got spot. It's 1 action point as a support action. Select 1 enemy operative visible to this operative until the end of the turning point. Whenever a friendly Exaction Squad operative is within 3 inches of this operative is shooting that enemy operative, you can use this effect. If you do that, friendly operatives have their Seek Light weapon rule, and the enemy operative cannot be obscured, and you cannot perform this while within control range. This has been buffed a bit. You now just select visibility, and then it says someone within 6, and you now cannot be obscured if you use that ability. So it's a lot better. Very, very good if you work in this buddy system, which can be quite effective depending on the weapon, especially if it's the Weber. Then you've got Subductors. They have shot pistols, which are 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3-3, range 8, and then shock mauls and repression shields, which are 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 4-4 shock repress, so they parry first, well, they block twice and fight first. And you can ignore any changes to the hit stats of this weapon's or this operative's melee weapons with Stubborn Subjugator. So Subductors have been buffed. They now ignore -1s to hit, which is very, very good, as a lot of teams now pump that out, and it does mean they ignore -1 to hit when being injured. So they're a lot more difficult to shift on the off of the point and key places in melee. They're still vulnerable to being shot, but that's actually a nice buff to Subductors. And once again, they also have a 3-up save because they have shields instead of a 4-up save. Then you've got your Vigilant, who has a combat shotgun and repression baton, has the close quarters vigilance rule. So this operative can perform the shoot action, excluding guard, while within control range of enemy operatives, but only if it hasn't performed a charge action during that activation, or if it's a counter action. Note this operative isn't restricted from performing the charge action after performing the shoot action. So if someone charges you, doesn't kill you, you can shoot them. You can't charge and then shoot, but you could shoot and then charge. So it's a nice buff to the Vigilant. The Vigilant is your basic warrior, still very useful, and it's just a nice thing to have, although I think you're not really going to get much usage out of it, because if people reach you, you usually die in combat. Then you've got your Vox Signifier, who has a shotgun and repression baton, has Signal as for 1 action point as a support action. Select 1 other friendly Exaction Squad operative visible to this operative. Until the end of that operative's next activation, they get +1 APL. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of enemy operatives. Your comms is unchanged, still very useful, just because it's pick someone visible, bam, +1 APL, very useful. For faction equipment, you have Manacles, so whenever an enemy operative performs the fallback action while within control range of a friendly operative, if no other enemy operatives are within that friendly operative's control range, you can use this rule. If you do so, roll 2d6 or 1d6 if that enemy operative has a higher wound stat than that of a friendly operative. If any result is a 4+, that enemy operative cannot perform that action during that activation or counter action, and no action points are spent. So manacles are a lot better. It's no longer like you have to have 7 wounds or less. They're very useful, but mainly into horde teams. So anyone with 8 wounds or less is not falling back on a 4-up on 2d6. So very, very useful. Strobing phosphorlumens, so these have been nerfed whenever an enemy operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against a friendly Exaction Squad operative within 2 inches of it. Your opponent cannot reroll their attack dice results of 1. So this was a 6-inch bubble of no rerolls. Now it's a 2-inch bubble of no rerolls of 1. It's fine. You still take them, but they're a lot worse. And they probably needed to be worse because they were too strong before. But it does hurt this kill team a lot. Then you get special issue shells. So once per turning point, when a friendly operative is performing the shoot action and you select a combat shotgun, executioner shotgun, or shot pistol, you can use this rule. If you do select one of the following weapon rules for that weapon to have until the end of the the end of that action. So you can have saturate, piercing 1, but only if the target has a save of 3-up or better. So if you're fighting someone who has a 4-up save, your police Exaction Squad will go like, we're not using this armor. It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to use this round. And then torrent 1, but you cannot select more than 1 secondary target. So this should be twice per turning point. It's pretty bad. I really wouldn't take this for once per turning point. And I find the piercing 1 restriction very strange. It's just really weird. It's like, so we've got Space Marine coming. Okay, load the piercing shells. Sir, we've got Eldari coming. Oh no, we won't use those piercing shells. But sir, they still have good. No, we're saving them for the Space Marines. So it's just very weird. Then you've got reinforced mirror visor. You can ignore any changes to the APL stats of friendly operatives, and they aren't affected by enemy operative shock weapon rules. So this is actually a really key piece of equipment, because if you take this and you've got the medic, your medic and any operative now won't be -1 APL when you revive them. This now goes on every operative, and this is a very rare piece of equipment. Most teams lost this version of that. Your guys still have really cool sunglasses, right? You are like, no, my medic wears sunglasses, healing everyone, doesn't care about a thing, and you get immune to stun, which is very common in this meta. So really, really good there. So like, you're always taking reinforced mirror visors, in my opinion. Manacles, maybe. Strobing phosphorlumen, yes. And you're never taking the special issue shells, which is a bit of a shame. So when it comes to operative selection for the Exaction Squad, you do need 2 boxes. There's no way you can really run this team as a 1-box team that is that great. You always need to have the ability to go up to 4 subductors with a leader that either has a combat shield or the combat shotgun. Generally, you're running the shield leader, but the combat shotgun leader can be good into other horde teams and technically elites, although now I'd probably just switch back to the assault shield all the time. You really want to tailor your list based on your opponent. This is unchanged. So the problem with Exaction Squad, they need a different operative list for every opponent they're playing and every mission they're playing. So it changes based on the kill zone. So if you're playing Vocus, Gallowdark, or Beta Decima, you're going to need a different loadout. And then also depending on the opponent. So all I recommend is you do need 2 boxes, which is a shame. And then you just have to experiment. If you're taking the Leash Master, always take the Cyber Mastiff. I'm a big fan of the Medic into most shooting teams, because effectively, even melee teams, because your medic is a shotgun operator that heals. And if you take a piece of equipment, it heals for free, you know, with no -1 APL. And like, you're always now taking the Weber, in my opinion, and then you're flexing between the grenade launcher and the heavy stopper, maybe, but your marksman is pretty good. The kill team still requires a lot of work and is like a control team still, but they are a little bit worse because Space Marines in general, like elite teams, will run through them, because now Space Marines don't have to worry about your guns being piercing 1 on a crit, which is really disappointing. You have more ways to get punishing and lethal 5-up and crits, but they're just crits. They don't do anything else. They're not better damage. They are technically a little bit harder to save, but it's not as devastating as when you get a crit, making your shotguns piercing 1. So unfortunately, you will need a different loadout every game, and you'll just have to find out which works best for you. I had a long list when I played Exaction Squad, and that really hasn't changed. They are a difficult kill team to play, but can be very rewarding and are very thematic now, especially as manacles are always working, so it helps synergize with you trapping stuff in. Very good into horde teams. So for the kill team overview, Exaction Squad are better, but also worse. So they have been refined. Most operatives have received a minor buff or stayed exactly the same, which is very, very good considering they had some very good operatives. Subductors now just ignore negative modifiers in close combat, so they're always hitting on 4s, which is very, very good. You know, you've got really good shotguns, like they're still 4-4. You have ways to strip people from cover, and you have more ways to get crits and reliably get 4 hits because of your punishing ability. You've lost your ability to get relentless of everyone, but you still have great board control with the Nuncio Aquila because your leader can just make areas like make your opponent really difficult to steal the midpoint unless they're a Space Marine. And even free APL Space Marines are going to struggle trying to steal that middle point, especially if you just sit the Nuncio Aquila on and run away. You do, while you are a control kill team, you do struggle now because Nuncio Aquila's, your Lumens don't have a 6-inch bubble of no rerolls, it's just a 2-inch bubble of no rerolling 1s. Your manacles are a lot better, they just automatically work now. But losing piercing 1 crits on all your shotguns, all your shooting really, makes it a lot worse. I mean, your gunners are a lot better. Like, your Weber is amazing. It's now a super shotgun, and the heavy stubber is now actually 4.5, so it's better than a shotgun. It probably just fires whole slugs. It fires all of the slug at maximum range. So the only thing that's technically gotten worse is the grenade launcher because it hasn't changed. So it's a very interesting kill team. Remember, one of the biggest things, you can still shoot into control range, but your opponent can still get cover unless you're within 2 inches, so you have to be mindful of that. You also have less command points to play around with, but you're really relying on punishing and proccing like your lethal 5-up abilities or severe. So you have more synergy to more play around with, but they are a very difficult kill team to play. And as I said, you always need 2 boxes because you need the ability to build. Some games you'll need 4 subductors, some games you only need 1 or 2. Then you'll need to go like more ranged. Maybe you'll need the shotgun leader. Other games you'll need the shield leader. You'll really need to balance it about and find out what works for you into each opponent. And especially as everyone's relearning the game, it's going to take a while for you to find the right loadout for each operative and each kill team, because you're going to have to change through that, as I said, with Operative Selection. They are really thematic still, and you've got great combinations like with the Cyber Mastiff and Leash Master. They're a really good combo. They do feel the fact that they've lost Piercing 1, but you can kind of get that back with the special ammunition, but I wouldn't recommend it. They're still a very, very good kill team, very fun, and, you know, like, you can paint them up like I painted up mine like RoboCop because, you know, justice never rests. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you think of Exaction Squad. How do you find them? I personally think they're a little bit better, but they're not as good. They're mainly worried about elite Space Marines, you know, it's elite kill teams. Let me know what you think. I'd be really interested to hear. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crew, I have Tom, Super Cow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meets World, Darcy, Dand of Goldens, Chris, and then for my veterans of the crew, I have Samja and Ryan. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, I'll be having 2 faction guides every day. After you've seen Exaction Squad, I will have Hand of the Archon later in the day, a few hours behind. And then we'll be going on from there. 2 faction guides a day until they're all done. And you got the rules for free on Warhammer Community or the Kill Team app, which you can check out for free, well, whatever medium you can. Meanwhile, I need to prep because I have so many guides to do. And remember, no matter what happens when you're facing the long arm of the Emperor's Law, there's always a chance to win and not get arrested as long as you can roll a crit.